News out of the Middle East, where the Israeli government is tightening its control of the occupied West Bank. The cabinet has approved measures to make it easier for settlers to buy land in the disputed regions. Israeli officials argue that beginning land registration for the first time since 1967 is an essential security measure, but Palestinian leaders are condemning the move, calling it a, quote, de facto annexation of occupied Palestinian territory and labeling it illegal settlement activity. Here to break it all down for us is NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley. He's in Tel Aviv. Matt, good morning. So an Israeli settlement watchdog group called Peace Now said the Israeli measure could lead to the dispossession of Palestinians from up to half of the West Bank. Just what does this measure do? How could it impact the possibility of a two-state solution?
Yeah, I mean, Joe, it's all wrapped up in a lot of legalese and bureaucratic discussion. But the fact is that what this decision does, also with another decision that took place about a week earlier, also not from the full cabinet, but from the security cabinet, so a smaller body, really does do more than any other decision from the Israeli government in several generations to tighten Israeli control over the West Bank. Now, that decision that you're talking about, the most recent one from Sunday, it opens up a land registry. Now, that sounds quite benign, right? Why is everybody up in arms? It basically will mean, according to Peace Now, as you just mentioned, that a huge part of Area C, which is now under full Israeli control, even though Palestinians live there and also provide some services like education and other things. This is military control by the Israelis in these areas. Now, this land registry means, according to Peace Now, that any Palestinian who isn't able to furnish proof that they own their land, that land will automatically go into a land registry and be available either for the state or available for private people to purchase, like Jewish residents here in Israel who want to expand settlements in the West Bank. And again, this comes a week after another set of decisions that also really extended Israeli control over the West Bank and really lengthened the menu of places where Jews here in Israel can purchase land in the West Bank. So we're talking about two decisions, both of which, taken together, really defeat the notion of a two-state solution.
So how is the international community and the United Nations responding to all this?
Well, we've been hearing a lot of statements of concern from European countries and from international groups and organizations, strong condemnation from countries throughout the Middle East. And that's critical because the fact is that the Israelis have kind of gambled their diplomatic relations with their neighbors in order to extend their influence over the West Bank. This idea of annexing the West Bank has long been something that the Gulf countries, the Arab Gulf countries and other neighbors of Israel, many of whom have diplomatic relations, normalized relations with Israel, have said is a red line. And that's why this is such a gamble, because this doesn't actually annex the West Bank. These striking series of decisions just massively increases Israeli control over the West Bank and stops just short of that word annexation, something that President Trump had said he will not allow, in part because he's afraid of inciting the wrath of the Gulf states and preventing the furtherance of his Abraham Accords, which was his main, most important political legacy from his first term, and something that even Israeli politicians are desperate to see happen. They want to see normalized relationships with the likes of Saudi Arabia or Lebanon or Syria. This could really get in the way of that. And so that's one of the reasons why this is such a dangerous move, not just for Palestinians, but for Israelis as well.
All right, Matt Bradley in Tel Aviv. Matt, thank you so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.